Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my new or updated patrons, David C, Zippo85, Paul L, Jomi M, Gregory S, Charles O, Joe S, Todd F, Jeffrey Y, Sue M, and David D. Thank you all very much for choosing to support the channel. We got Tesla's proxy statement for the 2023 annual shareholder meeting. The date is set to be May 16th. This document really just goes over everything you need to know for that meeting, voting proposals, the board of directors, their compensation and different bonus programs, things of that nature. If you were a Tesla stockholder as of March 20th this year, then you will have an opportunity to enter a random drawing to attend this event. As Martin added, if you want to be invited as somebody's +1, then you also still have to be a shareholder verified through the website, so I'll put that link below. This event is only 36 days away, and yes, it will be live streamed online as well. We may come back to this document when we have a slower news day, but for now I just want to highlight they do say that Tom Zhu has served as Tesla's Senior Vice President of Automotive since April of this year. Tesla is now listing 4 executive officers. We have Elon, Zach, Drew, and now Zhu, making number 4. One other thing Tesla noted, they plan to release their impact report for 2022 by the end of this month. There's a new Tesla software update 2023.12 rolling out to employees now with some long-awaited features. One of which is the option to choose a large text size for the touchscreen. You can now use the search function to actually navigate the controls menu a bit quicker. The maps will now show photos and reviews when you select a point of interest or a supercharger location. You can now use the left scroll wheel on the steering wheel to control your phone calls, answer, hang up, mute, and unmute. But that's not all. You can now long press the left scroll wheel to get more options. Things like adjusting the brightness, changing the acceleration mode, opening the glove box, that's awesome, and saving dashcam footage. You can also customize which feature comes up by default. A chime will now sound when you shift gears. You can adjust the passenger seat from the rear touchscreen to make it easier to get in and out of the back seat. There will also be a new Get to Know Your Tesla educational experience within the new manual app. There are some others as well. Tesla Scope has said that a source told them some of these features are going to employees in Europe first. No timeline on when it could be rolled out further. We got the official data for Tesla China from CPCA, and in the month of March, Tesla delivered 76,663 cars in China. Here's that number plugged in. We already had the wholesale number from last week, so that leaves 12,206 exports. For domestic Chinese deliveries, this is the 3rd best month, behind only September and June of last year. This confirms a record Q1 for domestic deliveries and for the wholesale figure. You may remember last week we said it was looking likely Tesla was going to launch a Megapack factory in Shanghai because they were hiring for that job posting. Fast forward to now and it's become official. Sounds like it'll have the same stated capacity as Lathrop, 10,000 megapacks or 40 gigawatt hours. Construction is scheduled to begin in Q3 of this year, with initial production slated for Q2 of 2024. Just know it's now time for all of us to become energy experts, so in the months ahead we are going to be covering this side of Tesla's business much more. People are still drastically overlooking this business, including Wall Street. Here we have the 2 announced Megapack facilities, and I say that because there are rumors out there that there will be a 3rd one announced in Europe. It's too soon to say what the average price will be for a Megapack from the Shanghai factory, but from the Lathrop facility, it's right around $2 million without installation. Remember, there's no one set price because the price is slightly different depending on which state you're ordering from. L is for Lathrop and S is for Shanghai. Last we heard the daily production rate at Lathrop was about 12 per day. If we assume 6 days per week and times 50 weeks in a year to be a bit conservative, that's a current annual run rate of 3,600. Using an average sale price of $2 million, that's a current revenue run rate of $7.2 billion per year. And at 20% margins, which again is most likely conservative, that's $1.44 billion per year. But remember, a run rate is not the same thing as an estimate for 2023. And then at capacity, we would be looking at $20 billion in revenue per Megapack factory. At 20% margins, that's $4 billion in profit. But here's why this really matters. Wall Street is currently estimating for Tesla Energy revenues of $9.4 billion, when right now, Lathrop alone is at a revenue run rate of $7.2 billion. Again, Wall Street in 2025 is expecting Tesla Energy to do about $1.5 billion in gross profit, when Lathrop alone is already at a run rate of $1.44 billion in gross profit. Now, in terms of timelines, the Lathrop facility broke ground September 2021. Initial production was roughly 1 year later, September 2022. We're about 8 months after the initial production, and we're at an annual run rate of 3,600. So half factory capacity would be 5,000. So you could roughly estimate that it takes about 1 year to go from initial production to half of the stated capacity. Now, of course, things may move faster in Shanghai, and based on the timelines we have, if we add that estimate of 1 year from the initial production to get to about half of the stated factory capacity, that would take us to Q2 of 2025. So let's call it sometime toward the end of 2026, Tesla could have Lathrop and Shanghai both near the stated capacity, which is $40 billion in revenue when Wall Street is estimating less than 10, and that's for all of Tesla Energy. Tesla has other energy products, solar roof, Powerwall, etc. And by 2027, I would bet this 20% margin figure is going to be very conservative, and that alone is already $8 billion in profit from these two factories, when in 2025, Wall Street's expecting $1.5 billion. And believe it or not, there are still plenty of people out there that call Tesla just a car company and that it should have valuations like other car companies. Well, that narrative needs to be put to death, because if we're looking at around $40 billion in revenue just from 2 Megapack factories sometime in the next few years, for all of 2022, Tesla Auto only did $71.4 billion in revenue. So yeah, it's going to take a few years, but once we have 3 Megapack factories, which seems very likely at this pace, that would be in the neighborhood of $60 billion, pushing up with the revenue Tesla did in 2022 from Tesla Auto. So I think for now you get to picture why these Tesla Megapack factories are such a big deal, because Wall Street is severely undervaluing them, and plenty of Tesla retail is as well. Now, I'm not making any political statements here because Vivek is actually running for president. I just wanted to point out he's using this news of the Megapack factory in Shanghai to basically say Tesla is doubling down with the CCP. And please understand me, I'm not saying that there's no risk when it comes to Tesla doing business with China. However, Tesla Shanghai is a wholly owned subsidiary, one of the only companies that gets an exemption like this. So by all accounts and everything that we know publicly, the relationship between Tesla and China is very good. Do you think Elon would opt to build this factory in China if it wasn't? I personally don't. To Vivek's original post, David Sachs had a funny comment, and then Elon, or Harry Bowles, chimed in, "Yeah, wrong on many levels. Tesla is increasing production rapidly in Texas, California, and Nevada. Our competitors require subsidies, not us. That said, if competitors get them, Tesla should get them too. Tesla's competitive position would improve if all subsidies ended." Over the weekend, Tesla lowered the price of both Model 3 variants $1,000, and you can see the new current prices in the green. Tesla also lowered the prices for the long range and performance Model Y, both $2,000 each. In addition to that, they finally added the 4680 all-wheel drive Model Y to the configurator officially, with a price of $49,990. Tesla also lowered the prices of all Model S and X variants by $5,000 each. I just realized the variants got cut off, but it goes Model 3, Model Y, Model S, Model X. So you can now get a Model S Plaid that does 0 to 60 in 2 seconds for $105,000, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. And since the beginning of 2023, you can see that on average, Tesla prices are down in the neighborhood of 15%, ranging from down 11% to down 24%. So yes, the entire world is going to be watching for Tesla's auto gross margins come April 19th. On this point, over the weekend, Elon said so many well-off critics don't understand demand at scale is limited by affordability. There's plenty of demand for our products, but if the price is more money than people have, the demand is irrelevant. In case you're new, according to Tesla's Master Plan 1 from 2006, they laid out their strategy: create a higher priced EV and go down market as fast as possible, working to drive down the cost and to drive down the price for affordable EVs. To which Elon said long-term thinking will be rewarded. With everything going on over the weekend, one of the most overlooked things is this 4680 now being an official variant. Sure, you can debate the value, so I went ahead and put together this chart real quick, showing the dollars you're spending and how many miles you're getting based on each model, both without and with the tax credit, because yes, all of Tesla's Model Y lineup is currently eligible for the credit, meaning without any state incentives, the Model Y starts under $43,000. And in my book, this is a very bullish thing for Tesla's 4680 production, both at Cato Road and in Austin. There are, of course, other differences with the 4680 cars, namely the structural pack, because the last I heard, correcting me if I'm wrong, 2170s do not have a structural pack. The charging curve for the 4680s will undoubtedly be a bit different. Remember, peak charging doesn't really matter that much, it's all about the curve. But in the SUV, CUV category, how is anybody else going to compete with these Model Y prices? Tesla has a number of job postings for Malaysia, specifically in Kuala Lumpur, so it looks like Tesla's entry into this market is full steam ahead. South Korea just said that it's ready to give over $5 billion over the next 5 years to its home battery makers to expand into the North American market to take advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act. The government will support lowering lending rates and insurance premiums by as much as 20% while also providing more loans and tax credits. South Korea boasts LG, Samsung, and SK, making 3 of the world's 5 biggest EV battery makers. Pretty simple, South Korea helping its own battery makers expand its operations globally. This exchange from a Tesla service center did say a new yoke with improved materials will be available to service in July of this year, so they recommended waiting to replace the yoke. This is just from one Tesla service advisor, so definitely not a guarantee, but something to keep in mind. That V4 supercharging site in the Netherlands is now officially open to all EVs, non-Teslas included. Tesla continues to make the mobile app more robust, as now it's added the feature showing the actual charging rates depending on the speed in the mobile app, as well as the histograms for the busiest times. Previously, this information was only available in the vehicle. You can also see the number of stalls available, and of course, you can send the destination right to your car from the app. Even if you're not on Twitter, community notes is something you need to be aware of, because in the past, videos like this would go viral, people sharing these videos of explosions saying it's a Tesla when this wasn't even a Tesla and this was from years ago. So now with community notes, FUD videos like this one will not be nearly as effective. Right now, Indonesia does not have a free trade agreement with the United States, but it sounds like that's set to change. Luhut Panjaitan has said that they're proposing a limited FTA with us and that he's going to meet with Ford and Tesla executives to discuss it later this week. It sounds like it'll be very similar to the one the US just signed with Japan. Critical minerals there will be free trade with requirements on processing like nickel, aluminum, cobalt, and copper. Tesla is now over 45,000 supercharger connectors around the world. FSD 11.3.6 is now rolling out, which I think is around 5 weeks of consecutive dot releases. To that, Elon said, "We need to predict what pedestrians will do based on their behavior, including limb angle and direction of sight. FSD currently sees all pedestrians as cuboids, so is overly cautious. Also, diffusion seems to be more compute efficient than transformers for vision." Right now, California makes up 38% of the installed solar capacity for the United States, but it sounds like there may be a slowdown in 2023 because of a policy change going into effect April 15th. However, I think this may in a weird way actually benefit Tesla, specifically when it comes to Powerwall sales. Because right now, only about 15% of solar installations are actually being paired with a battery for storage. However, now with this policy change, solar owners are going to get less money for exporting energy back to the grid, so they're actually going to need a battery storage to improve the payback period for these systems. The CEO of Lunar Energy said adding batteries can shave 2 to 4 years off the 9-year payback period for solar systems under this new policy. However, when it comes to solar deployment, this policy change, of course, is not great. The current payback period before the change was about 3 to 5 years on average, and experts are saying this change pushes that back to about 9 years. MKBHD did a podcast with RJ Scaringe. Didn't really learn much new, but RJ's a cool guy, and he spoke highly of Tesla. It'll be linked below. You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.